Right, there's a topic I've left till now, and look, I can't lie. This is because it's one of my favourites, which is obviously Rekkles joined your team, didn't he? Now, here's the thing, Carlos. Like a few things, even maybe a few things politically, I'll just put that out there without mentioning anything. There's some things over the years where maybe you didn't see my perspective, or you were like, he's off on one ear. What's he doing about this? All I'll say is this: you did message me one day towards the end of that year with Rekkles, and the message just said, like, you were right, bro, or like, I see what you mean. Because everyone thinks I just hate this guy irrationally. No, I've known all his teammates. I've known some very legendary players that were teammates of his as well. I've known his coaches. And here's the thing, as a player, he is one of the best ever. As a figure, he's one of the most iconic. But he is, I'll just say this a million times over, he is like, I mean, Shox was like this. You had Shox in G2. There's a reason why the nickname for Shox from his teammates was Princess. Because everything has to be just as he wants it, and if he doesn't think that he's got like the control he wants, or then he's in the huff. That's just who they are. They're both brilliant players, but they have this certain aspect to them. Give me some angle. Why didn't the Rekkles angle work? Because by the way, he was still a very good player that year. Why did Rekkles in G2 not work?
It's like Rekkles is like a whimsical woman. That's how he reacts. That's how he acts. You know, it's like, but it's like it's tough to manage because. You have a talk with him, and you say, hey, you have to play more than this champion, which is not even meta, right? You have to play this, and you have to play meta champions, you know? This is what the coach wants, and this is what you got to do, bro. You have to do it. And then it's like, yeah, I understand. And the next thing you hear is the day after in scrims, he is muting his microphone and just automatically, locking in scrims, the champion, right. You know, and you're like, what the fuck happened between yesterday and today? He's that kind of person. He's the worst kind of teammate to have in a team in many occasions. Of course, when it's crunch time and he's fair, best guy to have.
He's a stud, yeah.
You know, he's very, very good. He takes the risks, but at the same time, you know, he's very mechanically incredible, but not a good teammate. And any teammates that have any sense of what a well-run team should look like will dislike sharing team with him. But at the same time, you know, when I could get him, I was like, in my head, I was like, probability of failure, high. Probability of incredible success, not zero.
You have to try it. It's another one you have to try.
It's like one of those things that maybe 10% chance of winning everything, 90% chance of shitting the bed like we never shot it before. And you know me, I'll take it.
Yeah. Along these lines, though, you touched on it earlier. This is one of those areas where I've just learned that Rekkles fans are K-pop stans. They love, not even Rekkles, they love the image of Rekkles in their mind, not the real guy, because no evidence given can ever make them stop loving him. And here's why I know this. He admitted himself on stream, Carlos, that when it came to that off-season where I reported that he was going to be sold, spoiler, was he sold? Was he kicked? Oh, that was me who did that. It wasn't a Pokemon that knew that. It was me, a real human being that's a legend in the scene for 20 years, not a character from a video game. Right, okay, just checking. So when I reported this, right, the thing that people think is they think you just put him in contract prison and you made his price impossible, then he stopped him going places. He himself admitted, Carlos, that both sides were antagonistic. And he actually said this on camera for real. He said he didn't want to go to certain teams because he didn't want G2 to make a lot of money. And he wanted to sort of fuck you guys for whatever happened to him. And he knows on the other side, maybe you didn't want to sell him to certain teams and maybe you wanted to charge that. And he actually sort of admitted this one time. So can you give me this thought? Because when you said he was a cunt earlier, I get the sense this is what you were referring to.
Sorry, bro, because you mean about the pricing, right?
Yeah. And just the idea that like both sides were sort of being unreasonable in a way, right? And there was a problem trying to sell it.
We were not being unreasonable for multiple reasons. Number one, the fact if Rekkles joins a competing team, thank you, brother. If Rekkles joins a competing team, I cannot just give away market share to a competitor. People have to understand capitalism. That's how the world works. Okay? If I give away to my biggest competitor, a player that will take away sponsorship dollars from me, okay, and I make it too easy for them, the cost of opportunity has to match the value. You understand? And nobody was matching the value. Now, was the value I was asking for high? Actually, it wasn't at all. Okay? It was very, very easily doable. However, the teams were they were hearing bad things about why, we get rid of him. They were hearing bad things about him as a player. It was just bad. It was just bad press. Press wasn't helping me selling it, Then he leaks some shit that is not even leaked. Like, he made it up in his head. So, and he did that so that the price goes down in people's minds. But that he's stupid, because that disallows me to sell him. It makes it harder for me to sell him. So his strategy, thinking he's a fucking smart, overly intelligent guy, was, he was shooting himself in the balls. You understand? He wanted to lower his price, which he thought would lower my expectations. But bitch, no. Guess what? He didn't. It didn't. So he shot himself in the foot. And I believe good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. Of course, there's one-offs, but for Rekkles, it wasn't. He ended up in second division like he deserved.
Okay, the last topic is the obvious one we were going to talk about. It's obviously the cancellation angle. So here's the question I have, right? Which is, I understand in the media world. In fact, this is something we've even talked about privately. You've even said if you'd wanted to stay in esports.
Wait. Actually, wait.
Go on.
For Rex, before we get to I remember something vaguely in my head. It was that he was making shit up about him learning that he was getting kicked in the middle of a recording or something like this, some nonsense like this, complete bullshit. Thankfully, I have all the logs, but because I'm not a woman, I'm not gonna just go out there, and I don't have that energy in me to just share fucking logs on Twitter, to prove myself. I don't have to prove myself to anybody. My word is my word. I believe in my word, alas, and the people that were with me in G2, they all know the truth. They all know the reality of the matter, And he's just a little diva, a whimsical woman. And he got the introduction to what we wanted to do weeks before. Then he got the confirmation of what we wanted to do many days before that famous recording. And he still was trying to get to convince players that he should stay. He was trying to, speak with the players, okay? If you really want to stay, speak with the players. Really want to stay. It's not just Carlos, okay, that you have to convince, which you also have to convince, but speak to the players. And the players were like, there is a 0% chance.
Okay.
There's a legitimate 0% chance I'll play in the same team as him next year. And I was like, say less. I also happen to agree with your statement. So, Mr. Rekkles, you're out. And then days after was the recording. Maybe even, I think it was 2 or 3 days after, yeah? Something like this. But yeah, because he cannot lose in the eyes of the public, right? He has to be always the one that always does everything right. And, they were trying to screw over me. Yep. And I did everything I could. I gave everything for the team. I trained me. That's him in a nutshell. Get fucked.
All right, let's do it. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.